I'm Robbie Ellis, and we're live today in the Faye and Daniel Levin Performance Studio here at WFMT for Introductions, WFMT's weekly feature of the Chicago area's finest pre-college classical musicians. Today's featured artist is Miriam Kessler. She's 17, from Elgin, a homeschooled senior, and a longtime student at Midwest Young Artists Conservatory. She's a harp student of Aaron Freund, a piano student of Suka Wang, and a composition student of Jonathan Kirk, and we're going to hear her in all three roles today. Aside from Miriam's own work, we're also going to hear pieces by Paul Hindemith, Carlos Salcedo, Sergei Rachmaninoff, and William Grant Still. But first, a piece by Claude Debussy, originally for piano, but played today on harp. This is the Arabesque No. 1 in E major. 17-year-old Miriam Kessler, live on Introductions. The arabesque number 1 of Claude Debussy, originally in E major, but played in E flat on harp. Miriam Kessler was the harpist, and I invite her to the microphone now. We're live in the Faye and Daniel Levin Performance Studio for introductions, and I want to say hello, Miriam Kessler. Welcome back to Introductions.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. I say welcome back. We've featured you as a member of a chamber ensemble before, pianist in that instance, but we have you for a solo recital, and you will be playing both instruments today. So, yeah, the Debussy, beautiful music, of course, to start the recital today. Originally for piano, and how does a piece like that, Debussy, transfer between piano and harp? I guess there must be a fair bit of repertoire that does that.
It transfers fairly well. I mean, the style and the character, it almost, if I didn't know, I would have thought it was written for harp originally. The key is changed, though, because usually flat keys are more resonant on the harp. So instead of E major, we did E flat. Other than that, it's almost the same.
Yeah, lovely. You are the first harpist we've had on Introductions in some time, but I understand piano was your first instrument. You started at age 6. What put harp on your radar?
Well, when I was about 8, we wanted to start another instrument. And we thought harp would be more portable. We didn't really, it's not more portable. Well, we started out with one, it was so small, it had just 26 strings. But other than that, the portability thing, it's kind of similar. You read 2 lines of music, you're playing with the 2 hands. It was an easy transition to make overall. Probably easier than going from piano to violin or something.
Yeah. And portability-wise, I have to ask, do you have your driver's license yet? Because that's kind of essential if you're a harpist, right?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, good. And you've brought your harp to WFMT today. Logistics, like you brought it up in the elevator. How long does it take to tune, to set up?
Well, tuning maybe takes about 10 minutes, I suppose. It gets out of tune easily when it's moved or when it's jostled. It's important to allow extra time. And even the car is important. You have to make sure you have a large enough car to transport it.
Yes, station wagons, absolutely. It's an investment in your future. We'll be doing a bit more recording with you once we're off air. We've got a violinist friend of yours here. We'll save that recording for later. But moving on to the next music you're going to play, Paul Hindemith. He was a composer who wrote something for basically every instrument out there. Any little chamber combination that somebody asked for, he'd write a piece for. And he has a harp sonata. What sort of music is this?
I think Hindemith is considered neoclassical. You can definitely hear, he was influenced by Bach especially. You can hear the counterpoint and all the melody lines that he weaves together. Great.
Well, thank you, Miriam. I'll let you take your seat once more. Miriam Kessler, 17 years old, from Elgin, a student at Midwest Young Artists Conservatory. She continues her recital today with the first movement of Paul Hindemith's harp sonata, which is marked mäßig schnell, moderately fast. And you are listening to Introductions live from the Faye and Daniel Levin Performance Studio. The first movement of Paul Hindemith's Harp Sonata. Hindemith, a composer who wrote something for pretty much every instrument. You heard 17-year-old Miriam Kessler. Today's live introductions is a fairly unusual introductions. We've got a soloist playing 2 different instruments, and Miriam's going to change now from harp to piano. We've got a piece that Miriam described as her first ever hard piece that she first approached age 10. This is the Prelude in C-sharp minor, Opus 3 number 2 of Sergei Rachmaninoff, and now at age 17 she has approached it again. Opus 3 number 2, also a piece that's sometimes known as the Bells of Moscow. Here's Miriam Kessler, 17 years old. You're listening to Introductions. That was the prelude in C-sharp minor, opus 3, number 2 of Sergei Rachmaninoff. Miriam Kessler was on piano. Miriam is live on Introductions today because she filled out our audition form. I am very happy to receive applications from musicians who are pre-college and local to the Chicago area. If that sounds like you, you can go to wfmt.com/introductions. That's also where you can find out more about our today's soloist, Miriam Kessler. Watch video, listen back to podcasts for this episode and previous episodes. In a moment, Miriam brings us music of William Grant Still and Carlos Salcedo and an original piece of hers. You're listening to Classical WFMT. Introductions is sponsored by John Norwood Lee Bowes, serving the Chicago area for more than 40 years. Introductions is also made possible through the generous support of the Nagorny Foundation, the Kiphart Family Foundation, and the listener supporters of Classical WFMT. I'm Robbie Ellis, and I invite Miriam Kessler to the microphone once more, 17 years old from Elgin, a homeschooled senior and a student at Midwest Young Artists Conservatory. We're featuring her today as a harpist, a pianist, and a composer. Miriam, I'd like to talk to you about the three main people you credit as your teachers. You've got a harp, a piano, and a composition teacher. How long have you been a harp student of Aaron Freund?
Probably about 8 years. I started when I was 8 or 9, I believe.
Yeah. Harp wasn't your first instrument, but piano was. And Suka Wang, what sort of teacher has he been?
He's a wonderful teacher. He is really focused on the musicality of a piece. It's not just enough to be able to play it, but you need to know why, too. So we work a lot on that.
Yeah. And we're featuring you as a composer very shortly. You're 17 now. How old were you when it sort of occurred to you to start composing?
I was about 11, I think.
Yeah. And what were those first attempts when you were 11?
I was just messing around on the piano. I don't really remember why I wanted to. There was just a chord progression I liked. I really liked a certain key, and I just wanted to do something with it.
So when you compose, are there certain instruments or certain forms, certain styles that you gravitate towards?
I like to write a lot of chamber music or stuff. It always usually involves harp and piano because then I can actually play it. And we have some good friends of ours who are musicians, and usually I can convince them to try it out with me. So.
Yeah, that's good, that's good. And we are about to hear an original composition of yours. It's for piano, and it's called simply Opus 55. So I'm going to assume that you have 54 previous opuses, opera? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not very good with titles. The first piece was called One, so I just went from there.
Hey, look, you could make a career out of that, absolutely. So how did this piece come about?
It was actually an assignment from my composition teacher. He told me to pick a certain interval and use it as much throughout the piece as I could, and I'm glad I got that assignment because I wouldn't have that piece otherwise.
So what's the interval?
A sixth.
A sixth, a major six, minor six, go between?
I don't think it didn't matter. I made a lot of revisions, so it's not as evident as it was at first, but you can still hear it a lot in the melody.
So it starts off. So this title, simply Opus 55, that's it? No, nothing, no other title beyond that?
I thought about calling it fantasy because that means it's kind of like, it sounds kind of improvisatory. Mm-hmm. Other than that, I couldn't think of anything else. So.
Hey, look, music is music. So I'll let you take your seat once more. Thank you, Miriam Kessler. This is her original composition, Opus 55, 17-year-old Miriam Kessler, pianist and composer, live on Introductions today. An original composition by today's featured artist on Introductions, the Opus 55 of Miriam Kessler. Yeah. Would you say that you come from a musical family?
My sister is also musical. She plays harp and piano too.
Yeah. But so how did your parents get to encourage you, both of you and your sister, to pursue music as seriously as you are?
Well, my mom always wanted to play an instrument. She was younger and she never had the chance. So once she made us start, when I think we were about 6, we started piano, and she wanted us to treat it like a school subject very seriously because she wanted us to have the opportunity that she hadn't had. So that definitely helped.
And so what instruments do you play, you and your sister Lydia, in the house?
Well, we do piano and harp, and then we also mess around with, I don't know, melodica, ukulele, or we do some voice stuff just for fun, see what happens.
Nice. So do you have your own harps? Or you got 2 concert harps each or something like that?
Well, we have one full-size harp, and then we have one that is smaller, so currently we're just sharing the one we brought today.
Okay, the big Lion and Healy concert
Yes.
harp, which I'm going to presume that you'll take away to college, leaving the household bereft of a full-size concert harp, is that right?
Yeah, if we can, the plan is to get another one, but we'll see if that works out.
All right. So you started your recital on harp, you went to piano, and we're going to go back to harp now. And tell me about the composer Carlos Salcedo, kind of a massive influence on the world of harp.
Well, he's very well known in the harp world. He cataloged a lot of harp techniques, invented some new ones, and he made the harp more modern and put it on the map, so to speak.
Yep.
Made it more popular.
And which work of Carlos Salcedo's are you going to play today?
I'm playing his variations on a theme in the ancient style.
Yep. What can we expect from this piece?
Well, he really liked to show the range of the harp. You'll see lots of highs, lows, all sorts of different techniques. But even with that, all the variations are very different, but you can still hear how the theme is woven throughout. Yeah. So it's interesting to listen for.
Oh, great. Well, thank you so much, Miriam Kessler. I'll let you take your seat. Carlos Salcedo, very influential harpist, originally from France. Got recruited for the Metropolitan Opera Orchestra, taught at Curtis, taught at Juilliard, composed, taught, wrote treatises, all that sort of stuff. Miriam Kessler is going to be playing his variations on a theme in the ancient style live on Introductions. The variations on a theme in the ancient style of Carlos Salcedo, the final work from Miriam Kessler in today's live introductions recital. Just got a couple more questions for Miriam at the microphone. She played piano and harp today, a student of Ehrenfreund on harp, Suka Wang on piano, and Jonathan Kirk on composition. As of today, March the 25th, 2023, I know that you're intending to do harp performance at college. Have you finalized where you're going or not quite?
I don't know yet.
You don't know yet? Okay, well, I'm sure you've got schools lining up to take you. And where do you see your piano and composing going? I know that harp's going to be the primary thing, but you want to keep piano and composing going in your life as well?
Yeah, definitely. I really don't want to lose them.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll find a way to work it in.
And lastly, looking way beyond college, like into a career in music, do you have a dream piece to play or a dream forces to write for, a venue or a collaboration or something like that? Anything like that?
Well, it's kind of a long shot, but I would love to win the USA harp competition. You know why?
Why is that?
So the prize is a harp. So you get to pick it's for free. So a free harp.
A free harp. Well, then you can donate the one you currently have to your younger sister.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that would be lovely. Thank you so much for coming on Introductions today. Great to have you in your own right and to feature the harp as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that's it for Introductions today, featuring 17-year-old Miriam Kessler from Elgin, a student at Midwest Young Artists Conservatory. You can find out more about Miriam, listen back to this episode and past episodes. We can listen back to this episode as soon as I upload the podcast version. We are live after all. wfmt.com/introductions. The recording engineer today was Max LeBien, the video producer was Ella Pinsloop, and I'm Robbie Ellis, producer and presenter of Introductions. Catch you next time as I feature more of the Chicago area's finest pre-college classical musicians every Saturday morning at 11 right here on Classical WFMT.